behind like a lot of time, or all four of us, I should say, because Lisa's on here too. But Lisa's been very instrumental too. Um, so moving forward, we're trying to figure out. Yeah, we still work hard on the trucking advocacy ends of things, but we also know that we have to advocate for our constitutional republic and grassroots do what we can to save this wonderful country that we're all afforded with our freedom and the beautiful country that this is. We understand how fragile it is also lose it at any given point if we don't fight for it. So let me just move over to John. And John, what would you like the statement to be? And I'll keep an eye on who's getting on here and requesting to speak. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you are approved to speak, which I'll approve all of you, all I ask is that you go to that Heart Plus button, hit that button, and raise your hand if you want to speak, and we'll get to you in the turn that you raise your hand. I like to run my spaces with let everybody have their say, whether you agree with them or not, but everybody has the right to share their opinion. So, John, if you would like to go ahead, and I'll move on to Lee after you get done with your opening statement, we'll have this conversation.
Absolutely, Jeremy. Thank you for having me on. So, Jeremy and I were talking earlier about how, we work so hard in trucking advocacy for almost a decade now, and we seem to be beating our heads against the wall with it. It's kind of nice seeing Sean Duffy is stepping up a little bit, but some of the things I see he's doing is not really going to effectuate the type of change we're all looking for. It's more or less on the soft soap side, but ultimately this is more than just trucking. Obviously, this is our country. This is the sanctity of our country. This is our constitution. And we kind of notice, I think we're in agreement that we see this country has gone in the way of something called corporates. No understand what that means, but what that entitles is corporations of this country have captured our Congress, they have captured regulatory agencies, and they've captured the White House, and they're getting laws in their favor. They're getting laws that favor them, favor their types of business. They're drowning out small businesses in this country, while at the same time, we're seeing artificial intelligence growing rapidly, more rapidly than we had planned on, that we would have thought. Their reasoning behind it doesn't seem to be conducive to prosperity for the average Americans. We need to start thinking about in terms of how we're going to prepare ourselves, how we're going to adapt to the future that is to come under control. Is this a form of technocracy? Where are we going to go with it in the future? Or more importantly, how are we going to be evasive to it? How are we going to protect our interest as smaller groups of people? How are we going to come together and grassroots organizations and oppose a lot of that's happening and protect our own interest? So this is more than trucking. This is our country. This is our constitution. This is our liberties. This is our freedoms. And the biggest key right now is getting organized. For me, that's the biggest key. If we don't get organized and we don't get structured, we're never going to succeed as grassroots. And so I've told Jeremy earlier in a phone call that we were having that I'm working at starting Rise for Liberty. The Rise for Liberty project, in which we should get organized. I even developed a social media site. So as much as I praise Elon Musk for his liberties and freedoms, as much as I praise Elon Musk for what he's done here, it's the controls of somebody else, not grassroots organizations where they can monitor us. Their algorithms can control us, can manipulate us, and we don't know if this is a big brother platform or not. I mean, appreciate what goes on here, and this is a great platform for speaking freely. But I think we need to protect our own interest as communities, as grassroots organizers. And so it's time to come together and start talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. No, I 100% agree with you. Lee, we'll move on to you. Go ahead and make your opening statement. We'll move on, with the conversation from there.
I didn't really plan on an opening statement because I didn't know what we were going to be talking about. Just a short on myself and Lisa and Trucking Across America. We were advocates with everybody else since 17. Tried making change and nothing happened, and I see everything happening again that we did back in 17 and 18. It's like people's memories are so short. And my wife had a stroke in November, so I pretty much give up on everything with trucking. I just came here because I was invited. I didn't know what you were planning on doing, Jeremy.
No, that's all good. And you can say whatever you want and whatever subject you want. If you want to, give everybody a little information about what you and Lisa have gone through since last November, you're more than welcome. This isn't a one topic forum. Basically, we're just here to discuss, ideas and throw around ideas of what can we all do to network and what can we do to help each other and basically grassroots organized to save this country because as Donald Trump is in office, he ain't going to be there forever, and we've got a lot of work to do. And like Lee said, a lot of us feel like we failed because we fought so hard and we never got nothing. Well, we didn't. It's not that we didn't get nothing done. Our loud voices have actually. In 2020, we had the hours of service rules changed within 7 days. I think I look at that as a small win. And but now you look at there's so many more people that have gotten involved in not just trucking advocacy, but advocacy for this country. And I think, a lot of that has to do with us, laying the groundwork and being brave and just going out there and doing what we need to do and screaming from the mountaintops. Just because we didn't physically get anything accomplished per se to our, according to us, doesn't mean that we didn't light a fire up under a lot of people's ass. And I think we really did. And I attribute that to everybody that's been involved with trucking advocacy for the last at least 10 years and beyond. So go ahead, Lee. If you want to, whatever you want to decide you want to talk about, well, we can switch subjects and topics, and doesn't matter. It's open mic.
Oh, I'd love to go back now, knowing what we all know now, and I know John would agree, and so would you. Knowing what we know now, but go back to 17 and do it again, because I think a lot of things would be different. And
Operation
as far
Black
as
and Blue, is that what you're talking about?
oh yeah, go all the way back, but know what we know now and go back with the knowledge we have now, and then start over. I think things would be a lot different. I do think there'd have been a truck in the pond. I joked about that a lot. But I think things would be a lot different now if we could go back in time, knowing what we all know now. And I don't know, as far as trying to save our country, I think what Trump is doing right now, where they're destroying Iran, is a damn good thing, at least the Ayatollahs and all of that. There's another thing people have a short memory about. Back when Reagan was president, well, they captured all them people. When Carter was president, Reagan freed them. And then after that, how many military people, how many Americans got killed by Iran? And every president up until now has just appeased them. Christ, Obama gave them how many billions of dollars to appease them? And now Trump is wrong for stopping this? There's one way to go.
Well, Obama sent them pallets of cash of $1.7 billion of cash. And under the Biden administration, they freed up a bunch of money equaling $16 billion. So what Obama gave them compared to what Biden did, it's not even in the same ballpark. But we all know that Biden was running this country. His brain was too far sloshed, I guess is the correct word. But I don't know whatever you guys think. Let me hear your thoughts. I'd like to see if you agree with me.
I think, to be honest with you, I think Trump is looking to nail Biden for Obama for treason, because he did do what he did. And I think with the auto pen, as you said, it's been pretty much proven with the auto pen that Obama was probably running things pretty well in the White House during the Biden administration. And $16 billion is a lot of money. See, a lot of people don't consider Iran. We've been at war with Iran for nearly 40-something years, not quite 47 years, since 1984. And so they've been at war with us, is what it amounts to. We never made a declaration, but they have. They hate the United States of America. They made it quite clear as an Islamic rule. They made it quite clear they hate the United States of America. They hate Israel, and they've attacked us time and time again they have attacked us. So Lee's right. Going into this war and doing what it is that Trump is doing is going to save us huge amounts of money in the future. It's going to save us huge headaches, and we may actually create an ally out of Iran in this, which will benefit us economically and politically in the globe, especially when we're going against China, who has been rotten towards us. They've stolen our intellectual properties. They basically just raped anybody who's created anything, or the proprietary information, their data, or other. They've taken it unethically. So this will give us an advantage in that region of the globe politically, and like I said, hopefully we'll gain an ally out of it in the long run. There's a lot of Iranians. They're so excited for what Trump has done. I'm excited for what Trump has done just for the Iranians alone, not alone for our own protections and security for ourselves as a nation.
I just seen I looked at the purple pill here, and Brad Kohler said he's on, but I don't see him anywhere on here to invite him up to speak. So he's going to have to request to speak. If you are listening, Brad, I don't see anywhere on here, brother. I'd like to get you up here and speak. And like, again, these spaces, ladies and gentlemen, when I do them, it's nothing but a shit show, and excuse my language, but that's what it is. It never works good for me. Everybody else, they can do it perfectly, but when I get on here, it's a circuit.
Spaces, Jeremy, and I've seen so many people have so much. I had to go out and come back in because it went silent on me. But it is what it is. We just roll with it. But you're right; it can be very difficult to navigate or to operate them.
Yeah, and I really want to bring Brad up here to speak with us, but again, it only allows me to make two co-host invites, and I try to make both of you co-hosts, and it won't let me. So I have to remove a co-host. And I'm like, I don't have any co-hosts yet because you won't let me. That's the problem with these space. I mean, the concept of these spaces are absolutely awesome. I think having these roundtable discussions and let people openly speak and share their points of view is a wonderful thing. But it's awesome when it works good. But it really sucks when it doesn't, because it almost seems like we're going to have to end this and just start all over from scratch. That's kind of what it feels like.
Well, is it an issue that I don't have a verified badge, and neither does Leland? So is that an issue? Won't let us be co-hosts because we're not verified?
No, so I'm going to push on your name right now, and I've got the options to remove from speakers, invite to co-host, or mute their mic. So I push invite to co-host, which I just did, and it said you're allowed up to two co-hosts. To add this person, remove one co-host. Well, I don't have any co-hosts to remove, so how the hell can I? It's stupid.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe I should just back out in this space and start a whole new space, and we can all get back on here, like a minute, and maybe that'll change. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that, John Lee? I don't know. Should I just do that and see if we can get this thing to change the right way, or what?
I don't know that you need us to be co-hosts, do you? We just need to do a space and talk.
Yeah, the thing is the reason I want you guys to be co-hosts, in case I lose connect, then the space continues on if I have to back out and then rejoin. Like right now, if I lost connection or something, the space is done, and you have no, you can't continue on with the space. I want to continue on with the space even if one of us drops out. You know what I mean?
I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know what to tell you.
And we're 20 minutes into this, and I mean, I've got time and stuff. If you guys don't mind, I'm just going to end this space, and I'll restart a new one. And under the name Open Mic, please join us, just like I have it named right now. And then we'll get John and Lee and everybody else back on here. And I'm thinking that should solve our problems. I think half of this is that I created this space prior to us having this space, and for some reason it just doesn't work well for me when I do it that way. It's always messed up for me. I don't know why, but I'm not going to sit here and let it ruin my day. I just think what we should do is just restart this. If you guys just want to pay attention, I'll post it on my page when I get the new space started, and name it again, Open Mic. Please join us, and everybody's welcome, please. Is that all right with you guys, John and Lee?
If that's what you need to do, man, I got live going on here where I'm trying to feed it over into Facebook and stuff. But I can play a little music. I got some copyright-free music, and that'll fill the void until we get back on.
Yeah. Yeah, do that. Do that for like, give me like maybe 1.5, maybe 2 minutes. I think I can get this restarted in that time, and you guys just jump back on and join when you see my notification. John, I'll tag you, and I'll tag. I see Lee dropped out already. I'll tag Lee too, and that way you guys can just jump on right away, and hopefully I can add you guys on as co-hosts, and we can just continue on with this conversation. I think it's going to be a great conversation. So,
Right.
and to the rest of you, just please stay tuned. Look at my page. I'll have a new page or a new space up and running here in about 2 minutes. Just give me a second. I'm going to end this one and restart a new one. Okay. Thank you for your patience, and just bear with me here. We'll see you guys in a few minutes.
All right. So I guess we'll listen to some music or something that back up and see as music starts playing. If it does.
From cradle to grave, we are the home of the brave. Together we stand, united and free, fighting for freedom, our liberty. We've seen the Dust Bowl playbook, and it doesn't look good. Nothing great, nothing grand in store for our fellow man. Rise up, stand tall, freedom calls us all. We will rise for liberty. Our deeds today, they're brighter dawn. We fight for freedom to carry on. Our founding fathers paved the way. It's time to fight for freedom today. Rise up, stand tall, freedom calls us all. We will rise for liberty. Through our efforts, triumph we claim, forging onward, igniting freedom's flame. Fight, fight with all
We're back
our
on. Accepted. It is now a co-host, and now John, I'm just waiting for you to accept that invite, and you should be able to co-host also. We can continue on with this madness. There we go. John's on as co-host too. So now we're good. Um,
There you go. Brad Kohler's up there too, or not Brad Kohler, but Brad.
yeah, there he is. Perfect.
is.
Yep. I'm going to invite Brad to speak. Okay, Brad, I just requested an invite to speak, and then we'll go ahead and move on with you, my friend. I was just going to say I was going to text Brad, but he just has to accept that invite to speak. Brad, if you're listening, let's see. There.
Hello.
Okay. Yep, there you go. You're on, brother.
I was on the entire time. I heard everything you guys were saying. I don't know what you didn't see me up there. I don't know. It was weird.
No, yeah, I tried to explain that before. My spaces get messed up sometimes, but we got it straightened out now. Anyways, that's good. So, go ahead, Brad. If you want to carry on from here, we'll go with you, brother.
Oh man, no, I was listening. You guys had a great topic going before, so please, keep going. You guys had we're talking about Trump and Iran and stuff, and it's all good stuff people want to hear about. So go ahead if you want.
Well, wait a minute, Brad. Now you are running for governor of the state of Minnesota, right?
I am, yes, sir.
Absolutely. So tell us, somebody who's interested in being the governor of the state of Minnesota, what do you think about what we were talking about with Iran? I mean, what are your reflections on what Trump is doing, and how do you think that will impact us as a nation?
Well, it's a mixed feeling, of course, and I think I mean, a lot of us we're not certainly not going to go out there and cheer in the streets that we're at war right now, spending more taxpayer money. But at the same time, we are defending our way of life, and so um, being who I am, and what I've been trying to focus on here in Minnesota is just Minnesota. We are at war. I try not to focus on the federal situation. But here we are at war, and our brothers, sisters, daughters, sons will be going, and that's what I'm worried about.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue, if you're listening, please share this space out. Let everybody know that we do have a governor candidate on here by the name of Brad Kohler. So he's freed up his time to join us. And if any of you want to talk to him or ask questions, or if you want to, say your piece about whatever subject it is open mic. And we all agree in the First Amendment, and I don't have to like it. I don't have to agree with it, but you do have the right to speak your mind. Just request to speak. I'll bring you up, as long as you're respectful and you're not using the F word in every other word.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come on up, and we will gladly approve you to speak. And just raise your hand. By doing that, you just go to that heart plus button at the bottom of your screen if you're approved as speaker. And when you do that, there's a hand to your far right. Hit that button, and that raises your hand. We know that you want to speak, and we'll get to you as soon as it's your turn. We'll try to do this in an orderly fashion. But John, go ahead, and if you want to continue.
All right. Yeah. No, I wanted to speak with Brad a little bit more on this. So as conservatives, we tend to like to not spend money. We like to keep things as affordable. We like a limited and small government, but we see this thing going on with Iran. And as we were talking earlier, Iran has pretty much been at odds with us for 44 years or something, since 1984.
Yes.
And they've basically, somebody just recently come out. They've been at war with the United States of America for all these years, for decades now, and they've cost us on. You can't go research or look up how much money they've cost us in the past, how many human lives they cost us in the past, and we just witnessed that they're willing to sacrifice 35 to 40,000 of their own lives because those folks were exercising what we would say is a God-given right to protest, to come out and speak out against the authority that's ruling over them, and they killed them for that. They executed them for it. So, Brad, do you think that maybe we're making a good investment? I mean, cost-wise, that it'll save us money down the road, and we're actually doing the world a favor?
Good question, John. It's a kind of a loaded question as well, because we have so many problems here in America, let alone the black eye of our 50 states right here in Minnesota. And, thinking about, all the problems that we have right here in our own backyard in Minnesota that have to go and now be concerned about this as well, it is a lot for any American citizen. I think you'd agree with that. It's a lot. I think it's a big decision to do what our federal government is doing in attacking Iran. I think that's maybe bigger than all of us on what is really behind the scenes and what is going on. We know for years now that they've been supporting terrorists, and if we really want to go to war on crime and evil, I believe you got to go to the root of the cause of the problem. And again, this is a very tough thing for a lot of us. I think this is probably down the road going to be, I'm going to pray that this is going to be beneficial for us, and that we are making the right decision. I think we're going in a better direction by doing this. And, but I just hope that we can minimize the casualties. Okay.
Yeah.
I think,
agree with that.
I think, go ahead, John.
No, legal. Go ahead, man. Take a turn.
I think the casualties will be minimized because they're doing everything by air and missiles and drones, and I don't have a problem with that at all. I say turn my whole place into glass. Doesn't bother me. I want to know, you don't want to get political as far as, because that's federal, but you're in a state right next door to me. I live in Wisconsin. You have just as many problems in your state as I do in mine. What is your focus on that going to be?
On the focus on Minnesota.
On all the fraud in Minnesota. We have just as much in Wisconsin, but yours is more pronounced.
Yeah, I get it, Lee, and we do have a problem here, and people say, "Oh, you're for the Somalians. Oh, you're for this." I'm like, no, I'm for the people who actually didn't do their job. I mean, I'm not for the people who didn't do their job. This, I think, could have been prevented if we put up better guardrails. But why didn't we? I don't understand. Why weren't the guardrails put up for this? And where's our leadership to show that they're actually doing the job that we elected them to do? And are we electing the wrong people? So how do we change all this? How do we stop from getting, hey, we don't have anybody running in this area. Hey, you should run. Nobody else is running. And then all of a sudden we had another unqualified DEI elected official. I mean, when does this stop? When do we get people to stand up and say, and this is what took me. It took me during the COVID times, if most of you know my story, that when, my children were forced to take medication, or they lost their scholarship and got kicked off campus, I thought that was against our Constitution. I thought that was against our rights. I think that having our businesses shut down in our state, and some were allowed open, yet in Wisconsin, they had no shutdowns. Why was the air over there different than the air over here? I just think that there's a lot of bad decisions being made with this fraud going on. It is unbelievable how, it's just hard to believe we're at $30 billion in fraud in Minnesota. And we have our elected officials in front of Congress looking like eighth graders that just got caught smoking a cigarette. Oh, me? I didn't know it wasn't allowed. I mean, it's ridiculous on how they look, and it's embarrassing. So we've got to step up. We've got to start thinking differently. And Lee, honestly, think about this. If we keep electing these same people, what do you think is going to happen? I don't believe we can fix the problems with the same minds that created them. We've got to get these people out of office. Trump called Walzer the R word, and my R word when I get in office is going to be resign. We need to have guardrails, auditing, accountability, transparency. I don't know anybody who actually trusts government 100%, not even 50% right now. And that's sad. So we've got to get people in there that are actually going to do the job, not just go in there and win, but do the job. Do you agree?
I do agree with you, Brad. And I you guys don't mind if I jump in here real quick. I did text my friend Brian Mock, who's running for District 15 Senate here in Minnesota. I'm friends with him, and I also know Braxton Seifert. His dad was Marty Seifert. His dad was, involved in politics here in Minnesota, still is in the background. I did not text Braxton because I don't believe he has an X account, and I think he's more focused on Facebook because that's where, you keep it when you're running for district. X is more, globalized or nationwide. And I know that Brad focuses a lot on TikTok because he has a lot of followers on TikTok. And I've watched Brad do his lives on TikTok, and he has a lot of people getting on there asking questions. And Brad is probably the most transparent. What am I trying to
Public
say?
Servant.
What's that?
Public servant. Don't say politician.
No, I wasn't going to say politician, but you're probably one of the most transparent people that have ran for office that I have, that I can recollect in my 48 years here on Earth, or on this hellhole that we call Earth. But no, you know, and that's how I reached out to you too. I believe, Brad, and that's how you and I connected, and now we have each other's personal cell phone numbers. And I mean, we don't talk as much as we'd like to, but we're both busy too, so we both get that. I never held that against you, and vice versa. So, no, I just want to encourage people, give Brad, you know, a follow here on X or TikTok. He's more. You're probably more active on TikTok than you are on X, right, Brad? Just because you have more
yeah,
interest.
Facebook and X. I think the Facebook for the Minnesota constituents. I do have a large MMA and boxing, jiu-jitsu following, but I kind of shut that page down to focus mostly on, you know, my political page, which again, I don't stay political, but I want to make sure that I don't mix and match with what I want people to understand where I stand and how I want to fix the state. TikTok, I love it because the young people I'm trying to bring along to mentor, because again, if we want to make sure we don't hand our problems off to the next generations, we need to make sure we bring people with us, as opposed to what happened to our generations before us. So,
Yeah.
you know, I think that the more we can educate the kids to get involved in the systems that I want to build once I get in there with the ambassadors, between bringing junior high kids, high school kids, college kids as ambassadors from their school to come in and spend time with people on both sides of the aisle and in the House of Representatives and Senate, so they can kind of get to know what it's all about. And I think a lot of you people that are in the Gen X's or older, we used to look up the political figures like superheroes. And I just remember going, oh my God, Ronald Reagan. And, you know, today we don't have that kind of outlook. At least our young kids don't have that outlook or uplook on our elected officials. And I'm trying to change that. And again, it's done through education. It's making yourself available, and you have to be, you know, like public. You have to be out there. You know, last year I did over 500 meet and greets, traveled over 20,000 miles. And, you know, I think people need to know that they can actually call me and I'll answer the phone. And I really love that.
Yeah, no, and I can vouch for that. You know, Brad, even when Brad's busy, he'll answer your phone and your phone call and say, "Hey, can I call you back? I'm right in the middle of something." He's really good that way. I do want to mention somebody that I see listening or that's on here. And Jay, if you would like to speak, I did send you an invite, and I don't know what happened there. If you declined it, and that's fine. If you did, I'll send you one more. And if you declined it again, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah. I was just about to introduce Jay Reeves. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jay Reeves is running for state auditor. I do see that he's on here. I just followed him earlier today. And I would love to have you on and say what you'd like to say, Jay. I'll give you another invite. If you don't want to speak, that's fine too. That's all up to you, my friend. Okay, you are a speaker now. If you want to unmute your mic and say what you'd like to say, Jay, and what you think you can do to help this great state of Minnesota, like Brad, we would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, can everybody hear me okay?
We sure can.
Oh, great. So, yeah, I'm Jay Reeves, and I'm an independent candidate running for state auditor. And if you hear me, I'm in my vehicle. I'm driving, and I got my support dog with me, and we're heading to a home poker game. So, and go have some beers with some buddies and hang out and have a good time tonight, because we deserve it after the last few days of the stuff that's going on. But a little bit about me, just briefly. I don't want to bore everybody, but I grew up on the east side of St. Paul. I was born and raised in a trucking family. My dad's a truck driver. I was a truck driver. My brother was a truck driver and is now the chair of the MTA Safety Council in the state of Minnesota. So trucking is our lives and our businesses from the day I was born. So when Brad sent me this invite to come on here join you folks just to listen in. I just feel like this is home, and I appreciate you giving me a chance to talk. But I'm running as an independent candidate for state auditor because I have a data analytics background, but that data analytics background came from my time in service. So I served 17 years on active duty, and when I joined, it was it was in 2006, and I retired in 2013. So it's shortened because in 2022 I received a stage 4 cancer diagnosis. So it shortened my career quite a bit. But I wasn't done serving, so I wanted to come back to Minnesota and serve in a different way. Because it's just being a servant to the people is what I was called to do, and I'm going to try and leverage my data analytics background that I learned from the military and in the private sector after the military to leverage that into helping to stop fraud preemptively versus what we're doing right now, which is a reactive process. So because I'm a data analyst, which is a proactive approach, we're going to try and manage the role as a state auditor in a different way, and we're going to reinvent how the processes are worked and managed and things like that, so that we have a proactive approach versus a reactive approach. And that's my goal in that office. There's nobody else that has the experience in data analytics that I have that's running, whether they're a GOP or DFL. Nobody has that experience. I've got leadership experience from the military, and before that, when I was a truck driver, I owned my own little trucking business for a short while and everything else. So people just don't have the same. I will outshine them in the experience piece every step of the way. And when I say that I was in the military and I led soldiers, I led soldiers up to hundreds of soldiers at a time at a company level. So leading people in projects and plans is not going to be an issue. So, but my focus is not on the political aspects outside of the role as a state auditor. So any questions and things like that people have that relate to the current climate of other things that don't specifically relate to the state auditor, I kind of shy away from that because I want to make sure that our state auditor isn't involved in that other stuff, so that there isn't any conflicts of interest or anything that would make people think that I have a specific lean or a bias towards a specific issue. My focus is a sole focus is the tax dollars and protecting the tax dollars of the folks in Minnesota and those that pay taxes throughout the state of Minnesota to the cities, counties, townships, and otherwise. So
Jay,
yes, sir.
would it be fair for me to just say that your whole purpose as state auditor is to prevent the fraud that we have seen grow rampant under the Walz and Ellison and Flanagan administration? Would that be correct? Correct assumption? Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And
the supreme focus, that's the supreme focus of what anybody in this role is ever going to get elected into it. That should be their primary focus going into it. It's not to stop the fraud. It's just to turn the faucets off to begin with. Right? Let's stop it now and investigate, and let's do the investigations without interrupting those investigations. But also, we need to implement new procedures and processes to preemptively catch the fraud and flag it and then investigate it before waiting on people to report it. By then it's too late. And that's what we have right now is we have a people reporting system, not an IT-based system of which can flag the data and for investigations up front. And that's my goal.
Yeah, no. And the thing I like about you, Jay, I've never met you. I've never even actually talked to you. I just seen that you followed me this morning, I think, and then I followed you back. And one thing that I really like about you so far is that you're focused on what your job is, and that is to be Minnesota State Auditor. You're not, you have a history in trucking. You're not, here to monitor DOT. I mean, which that could fall under the auditor's job, monitoring DOT and all that stuff. because that's, overall, that's kind of what your job is to monitor everything and make sure there ain't no fraud. But I do think as a truck driver and as a trucking advocate, and I think John and Lee would agree with me that it's nice to know that there's somebody that has trucking in their background, that are in a position like you in the state of Minnesota, that we could, basically get on the same team with and help make positive changes for the trucking industry in Minnesota. And one of those things would be is quit giving driver's license CDLs to people that do not deserve to get a CDL or have a CDL because they can't speak English. And I think that that might fall into the category of your enforcement powers. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but correct me if I am. But we definitely need to do that.
We do have a second auditor in the state of Minnesota who's not elected, and that person is the legislative auditor. They're appointed by the Legislative Auditing Commission, and that role, what you're talking about, would fall underneath the legislative auditor's position. But we have a siloed approach in the state of Minnesota, which has its benefits and it also has some negatives. And where the legislative auditor does things at the state level, so those obligated funds from the state level that go to the programs, such as some of the instances of what you're talking about, but and then the state auditor does cities, counties, townships, watersheds, things like that, more localized based stuff. But also secondarily they also audit, which is called the single audit, the federal expenditures, which the federal funds that come into the state of Minnesota that's distributed throughout the programs that have now been found to have some fraud within them. So the state auditor does audit those programs now as well. So those are the things that I would be hammering first off. That would be the prime focus of my candidacy and also my focus should I be elected.
Perfect. John, I'll let you go first. Do you have any follow-ups for either Brad or Jay? Go ahead. Are you there, John? No, he might be busy. How about Lee? Go ahead. We'll go right to Lee. Do you have any follow-ups for Jay or Brad?
I can't say anything. You got me muted. Something got me muted. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, all right. Sorry. It shows I'm muted. Yeah, I was going to ask Brad, do you guys have voter ID in your state? Wisconsin passed that when we had Walker was governor. And that's something I think that needs to be done in every state. And the Save America Act that frickin' Thune last I heard was stopping it from getting through would help. But that needs to be passed in every state individually. So what's your thoughts on that?
I completely agree with you on that one. And, we certainly have a lot of things going on here in Minnesota that need to be fixed. And that, again, is one of the problems we have with our voter system. And speaking with a lot of people on both sides, it's certainly not a foolproof program. And that's, again, one of the problems that we have with our elected officials. I'm not trying to, give you a word salad here and go around the question. We don't have it. We need it. We need paper ballots and voter ID. That's what we need here. But one of the problems that we have, I don't know if you've heard of the act that started here in Minnesota on the 1st.
No.
Okay, it means where you can get paid to leave your job for some kind of special situation for up to, I think it's 12 to 18 weeks and get full pay. And we already have 40,000 cases of fraud on this when they came out, or suspected fraud, and they came out on the news and even said, we don't have the kinks worked out yet, but we're going to be watching for the fraud. To me, as a business person, you don't launch something, especially with taxpayers' money, unless it's foolproof. Do you agree?
I agree. And see, I thought there already was. It's up to businesses to decide whether people get time off.
It's called PTO, right? Paid time off.
yeah. And
Right.
you know, if you're husband, wife, your wife's pregnant, you get 6 weeks maternity leave, maybe through your company, maybe not. Otherwise, some of that time is your own time. My biggest problem is the government just says, well, we need to do this, we need to do that, and give it to everybody. Bullshit. You don't
We
own the
have-
business.
We
Go
have
ahead.
candidates for governor who wrote this bill. We have candidates running for governor and office that wrote this bill, and knowing that it was going to kill small businesses just like this, not having an ironclad program, went through and did this anyway. And I tell you what, November can't come soon enough. We need to fire these people. We need someone in there that's going to be, you know, if you guys know me or know of me, and Jeremy certainly does, I'm certainly not in it for the money. Okay. And I know Jay isn't either. I know Jay. I've talked to him. I saw Jay twice at 2 conventions today. But one thing that Jay brought up with other candidates don't bring up is the Watershed Act that they stole millions on instead of fixing the water filtration system that is killing and making people sick in Minneapolis. And they're still not doing nothing about it. They've funneled the money into this twice now, and it has not been fixed. People are owed money from lawsuits that are not getting paid. Jay is the only one of all the candidates running for state audit that has brought this up, because people are getting sick. A couple have died. It's not being reported on the news. It's being buried. He was the only, that's what impressed me about Jay. He knew about this. And you know what, how you know about that? You go to the people, you talk to the people. That's how you find out, because the news isn't reporting stuff like this. And that's why I like Jay. So anyway, thanks for your question on that. Yes, we need voter ID. We need paper ballots. We need security there, making sure that, you know, there is no trouble. The ballots are going to the right places. And when you come in, I think what you should do is, when your ballot comes to you in the mail, you should keep it on the refrigerator till election day. Then you go in without opening it to the election place where you go to sign in and see if somebody already voted for you in your name. At that point, if that happened, you call the sheriff's office. That's who oversees the election, is the sheriffs, okay? They're the state officers that do that. When they show up, you say, there's been fraud here, someone stole my identity. You show them your unopened envelope and your name on the ballot. That all those ballots then get shut down, and those people there that let this fraud go on will be convicted. This is what needs to be done. We need to start making sure people understand more, get educated more. And I tell you, I probably said that a little bit too vaguely on what that is, but we have a voting problem. And I think if we just keep sitting back like we have done in the past and pray and go, oh, it'll get better. It'll get better. Well, look what happened when we did that, folks. Right? Look where we're at. Look where we're at, because we thought without acting, it would get better. Do you agree?
My question is, why do you guys get ballots in the mail without asking for them? Is that just something standard in Minnesota?
You can do mail-in ballots, and again,
Yeah, I can too, but I have to request mine. Automatically come to everybody in Minnesota.
no, they don't. You don't. You have to request them. You're right.
Okay.
But I'm saying though, if you request your ballot and you go in there and your vote was already cast.
Yeah, I'm with you on everything after that. I was just stopped at the beginning where you said when you get your ballot in the mail. I'm thinking, shit, I don't get mine until I request it.
Let me interrupt for a second. So my girlfriend's here sitting with me, and she's listening in. And when you ask that question, a very valid question, do you have to request for a mail-in ballot? And when Brad said, yeah, you have to request it, she started shaking her head. So I had my mic muted. I said, so you don't request? her address is out at her mom and dad's, and every one of them out there get a mail-in ballot sent to them in the mail without any, they don't request it. So we do definitely have there's a problem going on here.
And
So
you
I
know,
can add some context to that if I can.
sure, Jay.
Sure.
So in some locations, in remote locations in Minnesota, in the outstate areas, they don't have voting locations specifically, or they're too far away for people to get to. So they're automatically sent to those individuals that don't have the capability of getting to a local place, a regional local place to place their
Correct.
ballots. So in some of those remote locations, they are automatically sent. So that's the context.
But she's not in a remote location. Her address is, and her mom and dad live right here, and we live in a town of 13,000 people in Southwest Minnesota.
And yeah, I don't know. I can't answer that.
Well, I'm not trying to argue with anybody, but I'm just simply just telling everybody that she gets a mail-in ballot without requesting it, and so that's definitely something that we should all probably look into and ask the question: why is that happening?
We also have a thing here where you can vouch for up to 8 people. I mean, it's crazy on how our voting system is. I mean, if you're vouching for 8 people in the senior home, you can walk right over there and vouch and turn in their ballots and or vouch for them or whatever. I mean, this whole voting system, I mean, realistically, I mean, you can buy yourself an election. That's the sad thing about it.
And Brad, the other thing on that, when you just said you know Minnesota residents can vouch for up to 8 other individuals. If you're a corporation, you can vouch for the entire workforce in Minnesota.
Yeah, it makes it hard to win an honest election.
Damn, I thought we had trouble in Wisconsin. You guys are really screwed up over there.
Hey, Lee, you know what's really silly is, they actually lowered our budget here from 70 to 66 billion, and they wanted a pat on the back. Okay, now that's 66 billion every 2 years. Now, here's the funny thing about it: you guys actually have a little bit more of a population than us, and pretty much the same kind of economy, and have a lower budget by $14 billion. Go figure.
And it would be lower if we got rid of Evers. And
See,
I mean,
I was going to come out and say that I'm going to vote for Brad Kohler, but he looks a lot like Tim Walz to me, so I really don't know if I want to do that. I'm just kidding, Brad. I'm kidding.
Wow, hit and blow the belt.
our problem in our state is the state's red,
yeah,
but we get overvoted because of the college towns. Madison, Milwaukee, La Crosse, Green Bay, wherever there's a college, that's blue. Doesn't matter. The frickin' state is red. Always has been, always will be. But it's the major cities with the colleges that override everything. So I think there's fraud going on there. And the big thing that helped was voter ID.
Yes, it's the same thing in Minnesota. You go up to Morris, Moorhead, Minnesota, Rochester,
Yep.
Marshall, Minneapolis, St. Paul, Duluth, the state of Minnesota, University of Minnesota, Duluth. Anywhere where there's a state university, it's all blue, and it's happening in every red state. The university schools, cities, are voting blue. And look at like Marshall, for example, is a liberal arts college. Of course, they vote blue, and try to be a conservative or more of a middle of the road independent or America First person. I'll call it that in a blue city. Blue cities, no matter where you're at, you're surrounded by people that don't want the truth. They don't care about the truth. They don't want to hear anything other than what their echo chamber tells them, and that's what we're all finding. Troublesome for all of us is it's hard to make ground or headway when we're surrounded by people that don't want to listen to anything other than what they are being told through their echo chambers.
Well, you
And
guys,
you're right. It's like I said, I've been on the road for 6 years now with this goal in mind. I ran for Senate, Congress, and also county commissioner to learn the aspects of all these government roles, building reputation and relationships with a lot of people, and spent a lot of time down in St. Paul and Minneapolis. And that's why, I mean, I know you guys know I know Tim Christopher, and Tim has been vital in helping me get very in touch with the Black community down there. And I have their support, as well as the Hmong and the Vietnamese, the Lao, the Cambodian, and Erica Kennedy has helped dramatically with the Latino people. And it is going to be, because I didn't move to the independent situation here. I just feel that I align more with more people now. And I know John had a question for me regarding that earlier. When it comes to the college kids, you know, I got 4 tours right now, 4 book signings on college campuses. I'm looking to do more. And what I've been doing is getting people to kind of sponsor a camp where you buy like 25 books, and then I donate them to the kids that want an actually autographed signature from, little old me, UFC former fighter and world champion, and wrote a book and how I'm why I'm running for governor now, kind of thing. And so I'm doing this. I'm on 4 colleges this spring and summer. And again, trying to build these relationships is a very expensive, very slow process, because you've got to answer the phone. You've got to make sure you go out there. You've got to be visual. You have to be accessible. And this is what the college kids want to do. They want something different. And I'm not trying to point my finger at either party or anybody out there, but we need a third option right now, because I believe that right now our leadership has failed us, and that goes for both sides. I don't have a problem with the parties. It's the people running the parties. And that's why I thought this is going to be impossible, because if I were to run as a Republican, we can pick and choose all day long and pick at each other and the pros and cons and what have you. But when it comes down to it, I mean, the Republicans haven't won here in years. This is probably the worst year of them all to try to run. Honestly, with the popularity of what's going on with ICE and everything right now, it is really bad. And the emotions get flying because the media pushes that against the Republican Party. Right now, there's no better time to be independent. And if you look at the statistics, and if you ever heard of the L2 data is, the L2 data is legitimate data that tells you about who are registered voters in every state. In Minnesota, we actually have 1.2 registered Democratic voters. In the Republicans, we have 1.3 registered Republican voters. And as independents, we have 1.15, independent voter registered voters. So it's split 3 ways. What we keep thinking is there's 2 parties and they're fighting for the middle. Well, the middle is still there as registered independents that nobody's going after. And for me, with such the conflict going on, man, I tell you what, daddy's home and the kids are going to bed with spankings if they don't straighten up their parties. How's that?
there you go.
Well, let me ask you. Let me do like a really quick survey just off of our guest speakers. I'll go first, and we'll go to John, then Lee, and then Jay, and then Brad. I want you each to name the top 2 Republican national politicians that are the biggest problem on both the Republican and the Democrat side. And I'll start first. On the Republican side, it's Mitch McConnell and John Thune. On the Democrat side, it's Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. John, you go ahead, and then we'll go back to you, John. I know you wanted to say something, but let's go through the speakers You guys name what the biggest problem is, 2 on a Republican and 2 on a Democrat.
Can you really narrow it down that way? I mean, just two of them, but I would agree with your assessment on that with Mitch McConnell and Thune. But Pelosi definitely, she's gotten kind of quiet lately, but she's an issue up and coming. Newsom is going to be a even bigger issue in the future, I think. But then you got the squad and how they've operated. You know, AOC's got a big name for herself, and thank God she really flopped out there in Munich, Germany. But yeah, I think I would go with your assessment on that.
I would say Thune and McConnell and Democrats, whoever took over for Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer, Dick Durbin. I can just go through the whole list. I'd say both parties, they all need to go. There ain't any one of them that are worth a shit. They don't get a spine because once they get to DC, they get bought and paid for. They all go with good intentions, but after they're there the first year, they figure out real fast if they need to make money and they need to do this or that, then they kowtow to everybody above them.
Jay, what's your opinion on that?
So I think that on the Republican side, if I'm honest and transparent, I agree with you about the two, McConnell and Thune. And on the Democrat side, I'd have to say that the Hakeem Jeffries is one and AOC is another. Those are the two, and the reason why I'm saying those two is because I believe they're the most vocal right now, that have the most publicity in the party, and are managing it more so in their areas. So those would be the two that I'd say currently.
Ultimately,
Okay,
we're
Brad?
looking at, I'm sorry, Brad didn't go. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to say, AOC is probably the worst because she's very public about that. I'm going to say Mondami is also probably the worst. And then I'm going to say Newsom and it's going to be a trifecta there. You got, what's his name from Illinois? It's Pretzler, and you got Newsom and Walz. I mean, these people here are just detrimental to our economy. And so those five right there on the Republican side, I'm going to agree with you, Jeremy.
And I asked that for a specific reason. I gave my opinion, John gave his, Lee gave his, Jay gave his, you gave yours, Brad, and everybody that's listening. That shows you that we're probably more centered than the media would like to admit. That we know, all of us know, that we have bad actors on both sides of the political aisle. And once we can get a break away from the far left and the far right and start getting back toward the middle, that's when we're going to save this country. And that's the whole point of us doing this whole space tonight, is getting people on here that are actually running for office, like Brad and Jay, and guys like myself and Lee and John that have been fighting for different things for over a decade. So you guys can hear that we're not as far apart as what the media would like you to think. We all know that there's a lot of problems on both sides, and the two-party system is destroying this country, and which is why Brad went to independent, because he can align with Republican, and honestly, they've made it so hard for an independent or a libertarian to win an election now that you almost have to be a Republican or a Democrat. You have to, have that money backing you up. And that's what it's all come down to is money. If you don't have the $1 million donors, but look at Cornyn in Texas, $100 million he spent to run against Ken Paxton. He had all the special interest money, and now they got to go to a runoff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know. It's all about money. And anybody that has to use their position to run on money are not the people that are here to save your country. They're here to get in a position of power to screw you even more than what we already been screwed. So that's just my opinion. But John, I know you wanted to say something before I brutally interrupted there, but go ahead, John. I'll mute my mic.
You didn't rudely interrupt. You just jumped in. That's all. No, I was going to lead into this when you were talking about the universities and stuff, because we're seeing outside influences giving money to universities, and we're seeing a growth for support for Palestine. We're seeing a growth for support for Islamic growth. And what it is Islamic nations are funding these universities you were talking about earlier, and that's going to influence how our young adults are being educated and how their minds are going to be kind of formed towards these issues. So we're getting a lot of foreign influence in our educational system as well as our media systems. But Brad, you're running as an independent, and I got to tell you, man, I think that is the way to go. And you were right. This is the time because people are seeing the parties for what they are. We're seeing the corruption on both sides of the parties. George Washington warned us that this was going to happen. There was going to come a day when we, the people, will be serving the party as opposed to the party serving the people. And that's exactly what's happening. We got members of Congress that are elected officials. We watch Sinema, who went against her party and voted to keep the filibuster, and they ousted her. They literally defunded her and made it so she couldn't run and she could not win her seat again. That's a part of a groupthink process, and that could be very dangerous and detrimental when you're working in groups like this. And so they've got a lot of control in our country. They're making agendas for us. They are deciding for us way up to 2050 how our future is going to be. You can take a look at the Brookings Institute on the left to make determinations of where the left is going to take us in the future. You can look at the Heritage Foundation on the right and see where they're taking us. And when you read that, what was that, Project 2025 or whatever it was that they put out there, they're talking about things about using technologies to the point in automobiles that you and I are not going to be able to afford automobiles in the future. We're going to rely on public transportation. That's how bad things are getting. That's how bad things are projecting. So we need independent candidates. We absolutely need to support independent candidates. The problem is independent candidates don't get a support of a party system. They need the support of their future constituents. We as a people in a grassroots form, organizations, need to get behind our independent candidates. And I think here in New Hampshire, 40% of our voters are independent. I don't know what it is in Minnesota. So that gives you a pretty big doorway, I think, to open up
It's
to a lot.
33%.
33?
It's like I said a minute ago. It's you got 1.2 million out of 3.6 million voters. 1.2 are Democrats, 1.3 are Republicans, and 1.1 are independents. I mean, it's that much. And again, since Jesse, I mean, it's been done here before. It's not like it hasn't been done. And right now, more than ever, I mean, you got the Republican Party. And you know what? It's not that I'm trying to pick on anybody, especially any candidate. It's just that right now, you know, we need leadership, not a party.
Yes.
We need someone who's in it for the people, not the party. And as a former Republican candidate, I got to tell you, they don't treat candidates well on either side. And if you don't want real grassroots in there, well then don't allow them to take PAC money, because PAC money is not grassroots. That's about being bought and sold. When you go in with PAC money, you owe somebody. Now, John, I talked to you earlier about, because you asked me a question about how can I compete financially with these other candidates that rose between $300,000 and $600,000 when I only raised $129,000 last year. I go, and I told you my answer is it's very simple. Now these guys got these big donors, $4,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, and great, they did, but none of them have more than 200 donors. Yes, I had $129,000. My donors were between $3 and $30, but there's 4,500 of them. That's grassroots, shaking hands. I want your vote, not your money. And I can tell you what, that's what I think leadership's all about. Bringing people with us that knows that I'm here for you. I'm accessible. I will answer your calls. If you watch me on social media, I respond to every message. And I think that's the kind of leadership we need. If I was in this for the money, I wouldn't be doing this. I'll tell you what, my manufacturing company would have been doing a lot better than me jumping in than this. Okay. So when it comes to grassroots, I think it is the harder way to go. It is the harder way. But I don't have a government check. I don't have a safety net. If I don't go out and work and grind for it, we don't eat. And that's the kind of public servant we need in office. Jay is the same way. We go out and grind every day. You know, we get very little for donations because it is what it is. We're not out there with the PAC money and impressing people with, you know, these shiny cars or what have you. But if that's what you want, then get ready for the same old, same old.
Let me jump on here real quick and just invite everybody that's listening. If any of you want to join this conversation, please just request to speak. I'll approve you, and just push that heart plus button at the bottom. Go all the way to the right, hit your hand, raise your hand, let me know that you want to speak, and we'll get to you in the order that it's receiving. If you have a question for Brad or Jay Reeves, who's running for state auditor, or Lee Schmidt or John Grosner or me, myself, please, I always like to do my things open mic and complete transparency and freedom of speech. Even if you're here to criticize one of us, as long as you do it respectfully, constructive criticism is not a bad thing. Just be respectful about it. Don't start swearing and threatening. If you do that, then you're just going to get removed and blocked. But you are welcome to come on here and join and be a speaker. I welcome one and I welcome all. So with that, John, did you have something to say?
Well, I'd like to elaborate on that and say ad hominems are a sign of weakness and admission to loss or defeat. So calling people names and resorting to ugliness just doesn't work. But yeah, Brad, so we got the idea that you're underfunded. And I think that the thing people need to catch on to is if you take $150 a year out of your money and fund certain candidates, say like yourself, if a whole bunch of us just gave $50 each to a candidate, that would be a lot of money for that one candidate. That's how we would gain strengths. But right now, what the hot item is getting you the signatures you need, correct? And how are we going to do that?
Well, John, it's actually easier. It's easier and funnier than that. If you're in Minnesota and you give me $75 as an individual or $150 as a household, I give you a PCR. It's called a political contribution reimbursement. That means you send that right into the state, and within 10 days, you get your money back. It is free money. It is ridiculous how easy this is if you want to help the campaign out. Or if you don't want to do that, you can donate $30 to my campaign and I'll send you a copy of my book, autographed with my cards. But honestly, you know, when it comes to the signatures, I have built my army to over 160 captains statewide. I have visited all 87 counties. I have people ready to go. Jay does too. I'm not endorsed yet, but I'm working very hard for the endorsement of the Forward Party, of the Independent Forward Party. Jay is already endorsed, and we are organized on our signatures, but we never count our chickens early. Okay, so we certainly would help, and it's in May, right after the election starts. I'm sorry, the signing of the campaign, when you can actually sign up. It's like, what is it, Jay, May 22nd through June 5th or something like that?
It's
There's a 2-week period.
Yeah, it's a 2-week period starting in May. Let me go here to the dates real quick. May 19th through June 2nd.
Yeah, okay, there you go. May 19th through June 2nd. Here's the ridiculously funny thing about this. They don't want a third party so bad, they put that time through Memorial Weekend to make it harder for us, okay? So again, this is all done by design. We need to get 2,000 legitimate signatures, and they'll try to pick apart every one of those. So we're shooting for 3,000 to 3,500. Now, as a Republican candidate, I can just pay the $300 and be on the primary ballot. But again, my goal was again to, Minnesota. It's hard to tell my Democratic friends and believe me that I want to unite them under one banner. I want to unite them under an independent banner and say, okay, let's really get our parties together. Let's really work together at this. And you know what? Let's straighten up our parties. Let's make people work harder to become an elected official. Not so easy. So, we have 3 parties, and we're going to push very hard to let people know that we're here to help them if they want to be a candidate. We're here to help them. They want to get signatures. We're going to educate you on not just throw you to the wolves when you become a candidate, like they do to the Republicans and Democratic elected officials. And believe me, I was there at 3 elections. They say, here you go, have fun. You're now a candidate, and give you no mentorship. We will do that. And that's what I've been doing. And Jay can vouch for that. I definitely reach out to people, make sure they're okay. Welcome to the party, or what I mean by that is the race. Again, I don't find people that want to run for governor competition. I want the people of Minnesota to vote for the best person, the best qualified person. And it's not about, oh, this guy's a CEO of this company and he does this, that. No, who's going to get the job done? Who's got a track record of completing everything they start? You know, and I tell
Brad,
you,
I got a question for you, Brad.
Yes,
And before I ask you that question, anybody that's just joining us now, and I just want to reiterate the fact that if you want to get on here and you have something to say or ask a question to either Brad or Jay or me or John or Lee, please request to speak. I'll approve you. Just all I ask is that you remain respectful. But my question to you, Brad, is what do you think about term limits here in the state of Minnesota if you get elected? Is it something that if we started something like that in the state of Minnesota that we could maybe get that to snowball through all 50 states and eventually to the federal level? What's your thoughts on that, Brad?
well, I think that would be great. And the only way to start something is by setting an example about it. Okay. So I think that would be a great thing to start here in Minnesota. I know that we have candidates that have been there for many years. I think there have been some that are really good, some that are really bad, some that are okay. But really is, you know, when candidates are in, what are they doing to recruit and train and replace themselves? For me as a business owner, or if I'm managing a business, I want to make sure that when I pass the torch, I'm going to fail. We don't have a system like that in government, and that's what we need to have happen. And this, again, why I am bringing in so many young people from my TikTok lives is to not have them afraid to try to put themselves out there. And that's what it is. A lot of times is fear, you know, being that target, going out there. Oh, I don't know how to do it. Well, good. I'm going to show you how to do it. I don't have the money to do it. That's okay. We're going to grasp. It's about building relationships, not about building your bank account. You got to build relationship. You show up to the battle army of your friends, you're going to win the war. And that's my concept.
Yeah, and I have a question for Jay also. Jay, as if you were, you know, to get the Minnesota auditor position, the state of Minnesota auditor position, what would be your first priority as Minnesota state auditor?
One of my first priorities is to make sure we shore up the cybersecurity issues that they were found to have in their previous audit from the legislative auditor. So our legislative auditor did an audit on the state auditor, and they were found to have some cybersecurity issues. I tightened that up, make sure that the security within the department is good. And secondarily, I would initiate a program, an input system, an IT input system, and I would start working on that. Actually, I've started to work on that now by going to the legislature and talking to them about it. So I'm starting now. I'm actually not waiting to get elected. I'm actually going to the Capitol to do that, you know, whenever I can meet with them. So the one thing that I really want to concentrate on is starting the initiative of being a proactive environment instead of a reactive environment, and bringing in the IT systems that are currently used within the state of Minnesota and working on those as an input system versus having people reporting however they're reporting right now that isn't working. So that would be my first and second goals.
So, as we all know, Governor Walz, there's been numerous whistleblowers that have come out and said that they have tried to blow the whistle on fraud in the state of Minnesota. And this question is for both Jay and Brad in your respective positions. When a whistleblower comes forward, how do you go about handling that information compared to what Walz has done, where he's gotten people fired and basically blacklisted out of the government and made to feel like they're inferior because they were trying to tell the truth. So I guess maybe I'll go with Jay first. What would your response be to whistleblowers that brought up, I don't know, fraud awareness? And then I'll go to Brad. So go ahead, Jay.
All right. So, yeah, this will be. I hate to do this, but I'm gonna have to jump off here shortly. But so for me, whistleblowers, they have certain protections by law, right? And I've been a whistleblower myself in an organization and have had some backlash and felt some bad feelings. I know what that's like. So personally, I've been in that situation, and we have to protect the whistleblowers and let them do what they need to do. Get them in the investigators, have them put and protected through whatever means necessary. If it's the AG's office, I don't know if that's the right office, depending on the type of situation that they're whistleblowing for. But they need to have the protections that they need to be. Those laws that we have in place have to be adhered to, no matter what. It's never a good feeling when you feel when you tell an employee that what they have as a concern is not a legitimate concern. There's nothing more demeaning to an individual employee, and that wildfire that creates throughout an organization is unbelievable, and it's nearly unstoppable. I've watched it happen in real time, and so we have got to protect them. We have to make sure that all of their views are taken as seriously as possible, and no retribution whatsoever. It's against the law for one. Secondarily, these people are working, and they have our best interests at heart. They have no ill will or ill intentions when they're coming to you with a problem. Their problem is probably a legitimate one, and if it's not, let the investigators figure it out. But they need to be protected at all times. I'm
Jay,
sorry, everyone. I have to jump off.
Yep, I was just going to say, I appreciate you jumping on here, Jay, and thank you so much for joining us and answering those questions. You have a great day, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great night.
All right, Jay's he's busy doing other things, so he's going to jump off here, and we sure do appreciate him getting on here and answering questions, because it's not every day that you get people that are running for office to get on here and just be open and honest with you, and then we sure do respect that. Whether you agree with them or you disagree with them, and I would always honor a Democrat or anybody else to get on here and speak their mind. I'm not going to interrupt them and call them names or nothing like that. I think it's important that we have to hear everybody's viewpoints and their side. But Brad, I'll go to you for that same question.
Sure.
What would you do with whistleblowers? You know, like I said, what Governor Walz has done is basically shunned them. I know you personally are more of a fair man, so I'll let you answer that question.
Yeah, I tell you, I competed in Japan a lot when I was a fighter and a pro wrestler. I was over there quite a bit, and we would be leaving the auditorium at 10:30 at night, and walking back to the hotel or the restaurant, and we'd see these kids walking in their school outfits and their school uniforms, and they're 5, 6, 7 years old, walking home from school that late at night going, oh my gosh, they're not with parents. What is going on here? And then while talking to the Japanese people and my friends that I still have out there, they would explain to me, oh no, we don't allow nothing to happen to our people. And if something's happening, everybody starts yelling, here's the criminal right here. They are proud to catch people doing crimes, to protect their citizens. And I tell you what, I was like just amazed at that, going, you mean if all of a sudden somebody tried to go grab a kid and start running with them, the community would just be all over that guy? What a system. Now, I'll tell you what, I think that if you're in a position, whether it's DHS, DOT, HHS, education, DOJ, we need a DOJ for all of those, I believe, to hold accountability. But I think that people need to feel comfortable and secure in their job, knowing that we all work for the taxpayers. Anybody with a government job works for the taxpayers. So that's thousands of millions of people that you work for. And And if you violate that oath by trying to cover it up by not whistleblowing, you are just as guilty as the criminal themselves. So for me, I would welcome them into the class of heroes of, yes, let's stop crime together. Yes, let's make sure everybody is held accountable, and we shouldn't be letting these people threaten anyone. I was always a guy who I didn't like bullies. I didn't like bullies. And I'm the short guy, and I tell you what, when I see people picking on people, I'm right in there. So the last thing I would do is threaten anyone for trying to look out for all of us. So I'd probably maybe even offer a reward, some kind of a, hey, you know what? Maybe we set aside some weekend tickets to Vegas, or hey, you get a free box seat at the Timberwolves tonight. Something to make people feel like cool. I just did my job and got a little bonus for it. We don't have enough of that going on. We got people working their butts off. Taxes are going up. Everything's going, and we need to reward people for doing the right thing. That's how I feel.
Well, you look at what happened with Tina Pietro when she exposed the fraud, and then she got politically persecuted. In my opinion, of course, that's up for debate. But
that's because of leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership sets the tone on all that stuff. Leadership sets the tone on media. If we don't allow this, it's not going to happen. If leadership sets the tone saying, hey, look, you want to keep reporting this crap, get ready to be pulled over every day on the way to work, and you're not going to make your shift on the news tonight. These news anchors today that don't report the truth. And remember, omitting the truth is also a lie. So we have people that just want to report what is an agenda to hide the truth. Now, if we know, come on, fraud's been going on since when? 2018? And yet you're going to tell me that Nick Shirley is the one who really cracked the case? No. Our leadership failed us because our leadership made people feel inferior and scared. That is a crime, and leadership, should go to jail for that. They have been negligent to the fullest extent in doing their job, and they need to be punished.
Absolutely.
We're talking about really
Go ahead, John.
malfeasance, right? We see a lot of malfeasance in government where people don't do what they're supposed to do, or directly just refuse to do what they're supposed to do.
You're right. And just like any job, though, I believe you have to learn I started this again on my dime 6 years ago. I ran for Senate. I've asked a lot of questions, met a lot of senators on both sides, House members on both sides. Same thing with congressional. I reached out to the federal congressmen to ask them questions, even governors. I asked, hey, can I get 15 minutes on the phone with you to ask some questions? I learned what goes on the county level when I ran for county commissioner. We've got to learn the job. Now, whenever you go into a job, no matter what it is, you have to learn the job. But if you continue to fail year after year, how long do we allow that to happen? When is the line in the sand drawn going, okay, you don't know it by now, it's time for you to resign? When do we draw that line? And again, it's got to come from leadership. If I'm failing, I'd be the first one to say, please take me out of the game, coach. Put someone in so we win. I want us to win. And we need more elected officials that want to win instead of a bunch of losers.
So, Brad, you're as an independent candidate, how many independent candidates are there running in your state for various positions, say House seats or Senate seats?
There's only 5. Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, and again, it's a very scary thing. And I wanted to run independent back in 2020, but there was no platform. I reached out to the Independent Party. My first endorsement was actually from the American Independent Party, which was actually out of California, but not a national party. There was a representative here over in Marshall that kind of guided me a little bit, but there was just no platform to learn, no BPOUs, no congressional districts, no nothing. And so I reached out to the DFL and they clearly thought I was too conservative for them, so they booted me out. Finally, after 4 months of phone calls, the Republican Party got back to me, and I started, and I was not endorsed because I would not abide by their platform, and of course many other they have their bits and reasons why they don't want to endorse certain people, but I've always run as an independent conservative under the Republican banner, and so that being said, without an independent party here, which needs to change, and I plan on helping becoming one of the front runners of that. What we need here drastically in Minnesota, a third choice. And so, again, I wanted to run independent about 6 months ago. We had a different independent governor, or I'm sorry, independent candidate running, and I gave him a chance to kind of see who he's all about. And after meeting with him a couple of times, he just didn't have it. This is a grind. This is an everyday job, full-time, 16 hours a day, answering calls, answering texts, emails, meet and greets every day. If you're not talking to 100 people a day, you have no chance in hallelujah to win this state. And that's me. This person thought, oh, hey, let's meet for a beer. I don't have time for a beer. We need a candidate that's going to take this serious. And right now, on either side, I think, we have some candidates, but I believe I'm the guy that's going to get the job done. And I do have the solutions to fix this state where the taxpayers will be very happy to have me in there.
Well, like I said earlier too, Brad, is me and Brad have each other's personal cell phone numbers. And I don't know what the last time before we talked Brad, I think it was probably month between times that we talked. Sometimes we talk 2-3 times a week. Sometimes it's a month between us talking. I don't ever get angry or frustrated with Brad because I know dude, I've never seen a guy work so hard in his candidacy. Like you're all over the place. And I understand that. It's like, I'm just, I'm a grain of salt, I like to call it, in your life. I try to do what I can do to help you. But I know that we're not able to talk every day like we'd like to and try to strategize, but we just can't do it if it's not humanly possible. So, like when John called me earlier and he said that he talked to you, and I was like, oh shit, you talked to Brad or Brad too? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, that's cool. Good, because me and Brad, we talk too. But I'll happen to be scrolling through TikTok and I'll see Brad doing a live video. And like today, he spent a good portion of the last hour and a half here on this live explaining his position. He's got a lot of stuff going on, and for him to take that amount of time, I think that's wonderful. And I'm glad that we reached a few people here, and I always record these so you can listen back to this later and listen to what Brad's positions are. But I do appreciate Brad coming on here and joining the conversation. I'd like to.
A few other people I see on here too that have my number, and we've texted back and forth. And again, I certainly, I really do like building relationships. I don't like burning bridges, and I will listen to you. And again, some people thought my decision was bad, and once I talked to them, I'd like to educate people as far as where I come from and my point of view on this and why I believe I'm going to win the governor's seat. And once I point that out to them, they go, okay, I see your point. Now let me ask you another point. Okay. You got 3 people on the ballot. A couple you kind of know of. One is your friend. Which one do you think is going to suit you best for your family and your kids' future, that you can call at any time and they'll answer the call for you? And of course they go, me. I go, well then what's the problem with me being independent? It shouldn't be about the party. It should be about the person you're looking at for that position. And we should always hire the best person for that role.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, if any of you that are listening ever want to talk to Brad and you can't get a hold of Brad, get a hold of me. I'll get a hold of Brad and we'll set up a time that you can actually, I'll text him or call him and say, let let me know, Brad, when you have free time. This person wants to talk to you, and I'll facilitate that call. Let's see here. We do have, okay, Minnesota Lady America First. She wants to speak. Tamara, you didn't raise your hand. I'm going to follow you back too, by the way. Tamara Sunset, if you'd like to unmute your mic, you didn't raise your hand, but I'm assuming you requested to speak. I'm assuming you have something you'd like to say or a question for one of either me, John, or Brad. Go ahead and unmute your mic, Tamara's Sunset, and then we'll go on to Minnesota Lady America First. So tomorrow's Sunset, go ahead. Oh, no, she's still there.
Hi. Go ahead. Whoops, her mic's muted again.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Tomorrow's Sunset,
Okay.
do you have something you'd like to say, or should I just move on to Minnesota? I'll just move to Minnesota Lady America First. Go ahead and unmute your mic, and if Tamara wants to get on here after you, just hit that heart plus button and raise your hand over to the bottom far right. That way it lets me know that you're ready to speak. But go ahead, unmute your mic, Minnesota Lady America First.
Yeah, thanks for doing this space. Hello again, Brad. Nice to see you.
Hello again. How are you?
Doing good. I just
Good.
wanted to let everybody else know that we've had you in our Minnesota Speak Spaces, and we'd love to have you back sometime. I think that you're doing these, and
Well, I will continue to do it even when I'm elected. I think it's important to stay connected with
Yep.
constituents, and as long as people want to talk civilly and engage, I'm all for growing my team and taking in ideas. I mean, we don't all know it all, but especially if I got boots on the ground saying, "Hey, did you know this is going on in this city?" I would love to know all this information that is going on if I don't. And I'm the kind of governor that says, "Oh, really? This person's doing this? Well, guess what? We're going to make a surprise visit and go see what's going on with my own eyes." So I love meeting people like this over and just being, like I said, available and accessible.
yeah, and I also wanted to let you know I can totally see why you decided to run as an independent. Now that I'm getting more involved in the Republican side of things, I'm starting to see, what everybody's been talking about. So I totally
again,
understand.
I don't want to again say anything negative about either party or any candidate, especially because it is what it is.
Yeah.
I have a saying that when things go wrong, don't go with them. I started my mission 6 years ago. I think I'm the best candidate for this job to help the people of Minnesota. And after all this work I've done and all the people behind me, I'm not going to let anyone down, especially myself, and quit this goal that I have. I've never quit anything in my life. And, you don't get to the top of the podium by missing practice. And I'm out there every day. And I tell you, I think this is going to be a good year, I think, for all of us, because I have a great plan to turn Minnesota around and get us going to be the wealthiest state again.
Well, you're a great man, and thank you for what you're doing, and keep up the good work. Thanks,
Thank you.
Disrespected, for doing the space.
Absolutely. I'm glad that you were able to join and get to speak your mind. And I'll go back to tomorrow's Sunset. You requested to be a speaker. You haven't raised your hand or anything like that. I just assumed you requested to be a speaker, so you had something to say. So I'll give you one more chance. Otherwise, I'm going to go back to John to let him say what he wants to say and probably close this space out, because I know Brad's got other things that he's got to do. So tomorrow's Sunset, if you do have something to say, go ahead and unmute your mic and go for it now. Otherwise, we're going to move on to John and then Brad, and we'll finish this space up. So I'll give you tomorrow's Sunset. Your sun is just about ready to set in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Shit. John, you want to say whatever your final thoughts are, then we'll go to Brad, because I know Brad's got a lot of other things to go on and do. So John is my co-host. Go ahead and mention anything that you would like attention brought to, to the forefront, and then we'll go on to Brad, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah, I got a couple things I'd like to run by Brad real quick. Somebody did come in here just about 5 minutes ago. It mentioned that third party will cancel out the other parties. I think you touched up on it some, but did you want to read on that in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. Fighting for the same seat in well, whatever, in this office, I guess you want to say, in the governor's seat. But again, the state is already pretty much evenly divided, and I think that and let's just say hypothetically, I'm not making any claims here. Let's just say that there are 50% of the Democrats that are very unhappy with what's going on, and they don't like any of the Republican candidates, and yet all they have is Amy Klobuchar. Let's just say the same thing on the other side, that we have grassroots people that don't believe in, maybe there's an establishment type of candidate that won the endorsement, and that's not who they want to vote for. And so now they got the people in the middle that are going, what do we do? They don't want to vote for anybody, because really, it's if their own party doesn't want to vote for them, then why would the independents want to vote for them? I think that's where we're at right now with not having that third choice. What if? Let's just say the words "what if" because I like that. What if that was like that? Let's just say that 30% of the DFL did not like Amy Klobuchar, but want another candidate that will definitely work with both sides. And it's well known that I have a lot of DFL friends in the office and that are candidates, and especially in the cities. That is very well known. It is also very well known that I have a lot of grassroots friends on the Republican side. And then knowing that I'm an independent with the values of the people first, not the party, I think that it's not about splitting up the votes. It's about, letting people just have a third decision. If people want to stay Republican, well, that's easy to do. Stay Republican. If they want to stay Democrat, stay Republican. But I think we all know right now that if we vote party line right now, we don't fix a dang thing. If we don't put a leader in there that is not the same old, and again, I'll say this again, the problems that we have today cannot be fixed by the same minds that created those. That being said, if we have people in there that are establishment on either side, we're going to have the same old. Now, that is how I look at that. Now, other than that, the only other way to look at this is, look, I am right now going to be on the ballot. I need 2,500 signatures. Not a party's blessing, not a party's endorsement. I've worked mostly on my own dime to build that. And again, it's for the people of Minnesota. Now, you want to tell me another leader that went through Hellacia, went through all the party problems, and used most of his own money and his own time to go around to build his reputation and became a leader of our country. I mean, isn't this what we want? Something different? Someone that's for the people, not the party? Just my thoughts.
No,
Let me ask you a quick question, Brad, and then we'll go back to John. But how do you deal with the negative publicity from our state media, like Star Tribune and WCCO and KSTP, or whoever it is? They've all been running cover for this corrupt Democrat Party that currently exists in Minnesota with Ilhan Omar and Walz and Ellison. And how do you deal with that to get the truth out there when our local media is a force to be reckoned with?
Great question. Again, I started this a long time ago. Earlier this year, I released my book. It's called Built for This. It's on my website at bradkohler.com. I wanted people to get to know who I was. Yeah, 20 years ago, I got in a little bit of trouble. You know, it wasn't like I was facing 91 counts of felonies before I took president office. You know, I mean, this was 20 years ago. There are candidates running right now that are doing illegal things right now, including people that are in office. I'm not trying to compare apples and oranges, but I want to come in with true character. So I put everything, not just in my first book, but in my second book. I've been over 300 podcasts talking about this. I've let people know, hey, yes, I've had to restart my life over again, you know, and again, I have to go out there and grind every day to show my true character. So if you really want to find out more about me, buy my book. It's $30. I'll send it to you autograph. You'll get one of my trading cards. I've been out there handshaking with people. Now, you can play that game like, I'm not voting for Jim because John said that. Or you can go with someone and said, hey, man, I like this guy because of this. I met him and this is all BS. I met this guy or met this lady. I personally talked to them. I like them. I relate to them. And again, you know, you're going to get rumors and stuff coming out of the news. I'm sure pretty soon the mud's going to start slinging. I will not be one of those people slinging mud. And believe me, everybody has dirt. I just choose to focus on myself, keep a positive message, and that's how I want to lead the state, is by positive messages.
Perfect. John, I know you had some more questions you wanted to ask. I'll give the mic back to you and I'll mute mine.
All right, yeah, no, well said, Brad. You know, anything that you may have done was a lifetime ago, and you proved yourself for your integrity today. I know 37 years ago, I got myself into trouble, and I'd hope that people wouldn't judge me based on what I did when I was 20. I hope they would look at my life and say, hey, you know what? Through his life, he was a stand-up person. He did what he was supposed to do. Just because he screwed up.
Just so you know, John, and I hate to interrupt you, but I've always been perfect. I've never made a mistake. So there you have it.
I knew it because of the shaved head.
Well, we knew that.
Disrespected, he's always perfect. Yeah, but no, man, I like what you said. And you're right. You're running on a platform that you're not trying to be conservative. You're not trying to be liberal. You're trying to be a man of the people. And that's what our country was founded upon. That was the whole principle of our country. They weren't looking for partisanship. They were looking for people to bring people to office on the issues. And that's what you're saying today. And I really love that. The last thing I had on my mind is...
Thank you.
So you're welcome. There are some people that think that we would do well to run on a slate. And I was wondering, now you only got 5 people on an independent party there, but do you think it's beneficial to run on a slate, or do you think it's beneficial just to stand on your own?
Well, I'll tell you what, we are recruiting a couple of really solid candidates that were afraid to be able to get the signatures. They did not want to run for either party, but again, with me and a couple other people that came aboard here, and you know, it was alignment, guys. I mean, it was truly the alignments of the planets here. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to run independent. Then I met, you know, a couple of people, and I didn't realize that the old independent party was now called the Forward Party. And I would like you to check it out. Just check out the Forward Party, and you know, I think that it's right in the middle. And that's where we need to be. And I was going to mention something a second ago here, and I got sidetracked. But you know, we know for 9 years things have gotten worse. If we don't have a third option, you know, I'm just afraid that, you know, Minnesota is going to sink even farther. You know, we have people that are leaving, and it's mostly conservative people that are leaving because businesses are leaving, and who runs businesses mostly is, and you know, I would say conservatives. I mean, but it's one of those things where we've got to make sure we are looking out for our businesses, are looking out for our people, make sure there's career opportunities for our kids getting out of college. And I mean, we have 3 college grads that cannot find a job in their field, and we don't want them to move out of state. I want my kids to stay here and raise our grandkids. I mean, don't you all? I mean, this is something that if we don't fight for now, you know, it's like that saying, you know, the weight of regret is nothing like that chance you would have taken. So I don't want to have that regret. I'm going for it.
Yeah, failure comes when you don't take the chance. So Forward Party was actually founded by Andrew Yang, who ran under. So when people challenge you on that,
Yeah.
actually, well, being in the state you're in, where it's very Democrat influence, it seems to be they would be more accepting to you.
But I don't know if you really think about it. Do you really just disagree with everything about the right or everything about the left, or are we somewhat in the 40 or 30 or 50 percentile with agreeing with things? I mean, can you really not sit in a room with a moderate Democrat? I mean, is that where we're at? I don't think so.
No. How many
There-
Democrats have I spoken to, Brad, that express physical responsibility? They want to see responsible spending. How many Democrats have I spoken to that are really aligning with conservative thought processes? But the problem is they're we get into a tribal mentality, tribal mindset. Basically they're becoming foot soldiers in a political warfare instead of extracting themselves from that warfare and saying, wait a minute, this isn't good for the country. We got to start realigning ourselves like we used to in the old days. Because when you look at old guard Democrats and old guard Republicans, they were very well aligned on most issues. There were just various little differences between them back in the day. How many of us look at JFK and go, that was a damn fine Democrat?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You know, one of the things, you know, as the next governor of Minnesota, and yes, I was a fighter, and I don't like to argue, raise my voice, or certainly fight. But one thing I've learned about fighting is that, I know when to use my strength. I know when to stand up, and when I like to get along with people until I have to actually, stand my ground and say, no, that's not going to happen this way. So we have two parties right now that are kind of lost. Is very obvious. Otherwise, we'd be rowing the boat in the right direction, and we're not doing that. Our boat's going around in circles. I want to get the boat going in the right direction and talk about the term limits. I never thought of this as a career. I never did. I had a publicly traded company at one time that I decided that that wasn't for me. I wasn't the kind of guy who likes to have all this money and all this stuff. I had the fame and I had the money and all that stuff, and believe me, it's not all what it's cut out to be. I like to help people. I feed the homeless on my own dime. I help felons find work. I mean, oh my gosh, those are the rewards I want to do. Getting a new program together for prison reform and make sure that we can get people actually stop committing crimes and have a career and kick back into our system. We got a immigration problem right now that people are getting hurt on all sides because our previous administration failed us by opening up these floodgates. And yes, if I was in Mexico, or hell, even if I was here in America and you told me, hey, the Bahamas called, you got a free trip to the Bahamas, you get a free car, you get a free credit card, free room and board, who wouldn't take it? You got people from a third world country that just got, an offer to come here to give their kids an opportunity. It's not these people's fault, so to speak, as much as it is that who opened the gates. Mm-hmm. And again, our leadership has failed us in so many ways, not just that, but then they didn't count when it came to healthcare. They spent way too much on this healthcare. They're allowing this fraud to go out the window because they're not even looking at what they're signing. We have an omnibus bill that was signed by how many? 80% of our elected officials that allowed all that money to go out the window. What are we going to do about them? How are they not responsible? If this was a publicly traded company, and that was our management team, and we're all the stockholders, would we keep that management team that have failed in their fiduciary duties? And we just lost $30 billion as investors. Would we keep that management team?
No.
I say no, no way. So what are we doing?
Hey, Brad, I did a small survey the other day. It was just a one-day survey, and I asked who's more likely to be on the cover of GQ magazine between two bald guys, the disrespected trucker or Brad Kohler. And I was overwhelmingly picked as, you know, the cover of GQ magazine and possibly Time, because I don't know, I can't argue with the voters. No, I wanted to keep it light and joke around a little bit, but you know, you hit a good point, Brad. If our leadership, if we were the stock and our leadership, our CEO was running our company into the ground like Walls is doing with zero, they have no accountability. Ellison, Mary Moriarty, don't even get me started on that lady. All the Amy Klobuchar, Tina Smith, they never call their own party out for being wrong. It's Donald Trump's fault. Everything is always Donald Trump's fault. And that is partially the reason that I left the Democrat Party. I used to be a Democrat voter, ladies and gentlemen, up until 2020. And when I seen they always project the Democrat Party, it's always somebody else's fault. They never take responsibility for what they do, what their party does. They never call out any one of their party members when they do wrong. Nothing. The only one I really like right now in the Democrat Party is John Fetterman. It blows my mind. John Fetterman, not too long ago, had a nervous breakdown. He had to be committed. And I thought, geez, how the hell why are we allowing this? But then you got Mitch McConnell. He's being pushed around in a wheelchair. Anytime he gets up to speak, he freezes mid-sentence, doesn't even know what the hell where he's at or what he's saying. So, no, we have to start holding people accountable. And I agree with you, Brad. I see we got one request here to speak. And I know we're trying to end this, but I do want to give the opportunity to let people speak. And that is Acid Macro Trader. I approved
And
you to
Jeremy,
speak. If you,
I'm not mad
Go
at
ahead.
you for winning that contest.
I'm mad at myself.
Somehow I think that
I'm
voting was
okay,
a little
man.
slanted there.
You
Brad.
can have the GQ. You know,
Well, how about if we just cut the page or the cover in half, and I'll share it with you. You know, because I'm not a selfish person.
well, you know, it's okay. You can take the big step on that. It's your show. But I got
that other person that requested it to me.
Okay, let's get it.
They ducked out. Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
What's the problem with a political joke?
What's the problem with a political joke?
Yeah.
Somebody's always going to be offended.
Nope. Once in a while, one gets elected.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Once in a while, that's more often than not.
Yeah.
John, do you have anything else that you would like to add to this before we wrap this up? I know it's been a little over 2 hours, and I know Brad's got a lot of million other things to do.
I mean, I really appreciate everybody signing up tonight or coming in. And real quick, once again, if you want to know more about me, bradkohler.com. If you want to buy my book and contribute to my campaign, I appreciate that. It's called Built for This. It's on my website. It actually is a pretty good book. It tells you a lot about me, and I think that you would enjoy it. I've gotten some really great response on it. With that, I send one of my trading cards from my fighting days, and on the back of the trading card with me is Animal with the Road Warriors, who was my training partner and travel companion, and he passed away in 2020. But again, if you have any questions, you can subscribe to my website. And when you do that, I give you my email address, my personal email address, and my phone number. And we can always schedule a time to call or just text if you want to ask me a question. I want to be accessible. And again, I want you to make a very valid decision on our choice this year. We have a great window of opportunity here to to make some changes in Minnesota, and I hope that we get the voters out, because again, doing nothing is also an action. It's just a bad one.
Hey, Brad, in a purple pill, if you go down to the right-hand bottom corner there, I put bradkohler.com. Is that correct? Or do I have to respell that? Or
Yeah, bradkohler.com. Thank you.
Yeah, yep, no problem. You guys, and these spaces are saved, so you can go check that out later. Send it to your friends. Get to know Brad. Get to know what he stands for and what he stands behind. Me and Brad have become friends. He's really a good, decent person. He's always listening or willing to listen. And John, my co-host, John Grevsner will attest to that. So,
And remember, I'm new cover page.
Yep, second to the disrespected trucker. And I feel bad, but somebody's got to be first, and I'll
That's
gladly, I guess, take that.
I see.
Listen,
John,
everybody
do you
have a
want
great
to?
rest of the weekend.
I see
Have a
Tamara.
Do you want to
Night.
say anything else, John, in closing?
Well, I see Tamara
God
came
bless
back.
Minnesota.
Do we want to give her a chance to say something?
Oh, who?
Tamara came back. She
Oh, tomorrow sunset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, tomorrow sunset.
Hi, nice to meet you all. I just wanted to share with you, I'm just learning about the local political processes and the election whole situation. Went to the Republican convention here after the voting last week, and I was disappointed to see that I was only one of 10 people out of all the precincts in my area. And the precinct I'm from actually didn't have anybody representing it. And they actually were requesting if I would like to be a delegate or precinct chair, because I would have been the only one. But it seems like we need to fill these lower areas, the delegates and the precinct chairs, and build a tree network locally and make that really cohesive as a united front to get more people registered and sway minds and tell them exactly what's going on, because when they're propagandized, they're not willing to actually sit down and listen. But we need to find a way of bridging that gap, or else we're not going to sway anybody to swear these. And
I tried proposing a plan to several of the BPOUs and the congressional districts, and including to the GOP itself, and they don't like listening to anybody. Matter of fact, they're not very candidate friendly. And my idea was this, and you can tell me to go pound sand if you want to, because they did. I think that from the top on down, I call it franchising. We should all be doing the same successful program. And there are a couple of very successful BPOUs out there that bring in, 20, 30 people once a month for their meeting. They have a little snack and a little meeting. They have an agenda that they go by, and they're there for an hour, hour and a half, and they leave. And it's people that get highly involved with what's going on. And my idea was to make sure that everybody that comes, make sure you go through your platform, make sure that we recognize every candidate throughout the whole state who is jumping in on our party, and reach out to them, follow them on social media, make sure they say, hey, welcome to the party, good luck. If you're ever in this area, want to, come to our BPO, let us know, communicate with the candidates that are getting in, so that way they don't feel so alone. And some of the candidates don't have very much of a social media following at all, let alone their own, party following them. So that being said, not just that, but make sure that while you're there, check out their website, see their website, go to their platform, maybe write down a couple questions, email them and ask them their questions right then and there. So that way you can actually get to know the candidates. I still go around the state and I hear people don't even know who Lisa DeMuth is. And I tell you, to me, that's kind of funny. I actually met 2 people today who had no idea who Lisa DeMuth was. And I'm like, okay, well, she's a Speaker of the House. They go, really? We have a Speaker of the House? And it's not that people have their head in the sand. It's just that, again, if you're going to attend these events, the leaders of these events should be educating us in a format that is franchised with the rest of the state, that is successful, that we can network properly and communicate amongst each other. Now, is this hard work? No. It's about following. It's about following a sheet of paper and say, okay, everybody, here's what we're going to do. And then, boom, anything. This is how you build a party, through communication, supporting your candidates, making them feel welcome, making them not feel so alone. Like, hey, and by the way, I specialize in tax reform. I specialize in this. If you ever need a tip, so here's my email, here's my phone number. Give me a call, Mr. Candidate. No one does nothing. Nobody helps our candidates. And for giving them that information, I'm an outsider. Did I lose everybody?
No, we're here.
Nope.
We're here.
I mean, I don't know. Did that sound like I was ridiculous? I mean, or do I mean, be honest with you.
No, I guess I don't think we understood that you were done speaking, but yeah, no, it's all good, Brad. Tomorrow, if you want to follow up, go ahead.
I think the reason why the infiltration that we've experienced as a nation, I think they were so successful doing it since the 1960s, because that's exactly what they did. Was they built their voter base from grassroots. They moved it into colleges and after school political committees, and then they closed it off to other parties being able to have a say on the internet. They have secluded areas where you have to literally be a registered member of that party to even attend online as well, which keeps the hecklers out, or so they're which is us, is what they call us, because they don't want anybody in there actually telling them the truth every time they say something. So they focus very successfully on propagandizing and keeping them secluded from any accurate information. So I think that's why they've been so successful. And they're also using Act Blue, the well-funded NGO, to actually hold political after school things for our high school and elementary kids as well throughout the whole United States, which is why we're seeing such a problem in our high schools and elementary schools, being overwhelmingly leftist. And I think it's a problem.
Well, again, our leadership, certainly does not set a good example for adults, let alone our children. I remember, just traveling all over the world, being an athlete, and especially in wrestling, when, everybody wants to be an American. Everybody wants to come to America and have the American dream, but they always love watching Americans get beat. They cheered even louder when an American got beat. And it's one of those things where they come here and they think that everybody's rich and we didn't have to work hard. I was talking to the Vietnamese community the other day about, I didn't have this nonprofit when I grew up. I didn't have this NGOs. I didn't have H1Bs. I didn't have any of that stuff. The welfare that we had back then was nothing like it is now. And it's what has come to happen to our America is we've been trying too hard to basically, bring people here, and we can't. We're not even letting them become American. We're holding up their visas, their green cards, their citizenship, and then we're creating these problems. And again, it's costing us taxpayers that are generational Americans more and more money every year because we've allowed this to happen. And this woke school system. Well, that's another thing I would go to war with, because we need to stop that. But all in all, we got to remind ourselves, how do we build this country, and how did it get this way? Why can't we dial it back a few years and say, hey, there was nothing wrong with our education program here in Minnesota 9 years ago. We were in number 2, number 3 in education. Fitness, we were always number 1 or number 2. Now we're like at 15 in fitness. So we become a lazier state. We become a less educated state. 40% of our budget on education, yet we're below Mississippi. And that to me is sad. So again, our leadership has been taking us down the wrong path, I should say. Okay. And we need to remember where we came from, remember how we were there, and we got to dial it back a little bit with people that are willing to do that with me. Not like, oh, Brad, I like it the way it is. No, let's not fight for a better way of life. No, let's not fight for people to be happy. We got our taxes going up, crimes going up. We got, people dying, immigration, still a problem. And what we have, nobody has lost their job. Nobody's been fired. Nobody's been, held accountable for any of this stuff. I just don't see that as leadership. No one's owned up to it. No one said, yeah, my bad. We allowed this to happen. It's my bad. We're going to fix it right away. And that's just not going to happen on my watch. We're going to do weekly auditing, accountability. We're going to have guardrails up. So if something happens, we can catch it sooner than later. And if something happens where, oh my God, a check went out, I'm going to say, oh, this happened. We caught it, but we're fixing it, and we're going to recover, no problem. I'm going to assure the taxpayers that I'm going to look out for them, because I'm going to hold my staff accountable. And that's where we got to start at the top. We can't blame our kids and our thing. I don't like blaming anybody for anything. I don't blame anyone who points the finger and blames as a child. Adults don't blame. They fix the problem. They sit at the table and talk about solutions and moving forward. And you don't get up from the table till you're ready to get up from the table with a solution. Sorry.
That was.
No, I agree with you, Bob. No, you're exactly right. But I see Lee has rejoined us here. He fell out there for a while. Lee, did you have anything else you'd like to add before we wrap this up?
No, I would just say, I don't know if it was said at all. On a side note, if you get elected, if you do everything you're supposed to do, what you were put in, that your voters put you in for, that you said you were going to run on, you should never have to worry about a re-election. And I've said that to every politician I've ever met with. If you didn't do anything wrong, you shouldn't have to spend millions of dollars to get voted back in, because the public will vote you back in.
Well, it's not that. You've got to. I was an athlete once, and I pushed the limits a little too far when I should have said when. You gotta maybe go through some tough times or be broken a few times to realize, when to say when. And I want to get the state going in the direction. I want to bring in a great lieutenant governor that has more energy than all of us put together, that wants to bring in more people to keep the thing going strong with the same ideology as we do, which is in the middle for the people. And that is the team that I'm bringing forward. I want to get in and get it going the right way, then be able to hand it off knowing confidently that the state's in good hands. And it's not about whether it's a Republican or Democrat. If it's a good Democrat and I feel comfortable with it, I will back them, saying this person is my choice. If it's a Republican, same thing. But again, if we get going in that way, it should be the best person, not the party with the most money who whatever. Okay. And so I will get the state going in the right direction. And yes, I'm sure that, along the way, we're going to have a couple hiccups and speed bumps, but I want to make sure that when we do, I'm going to be vocal about those. And that way we teach people to not be afraid of failure. You don't learn without failing a little bit. And, as long as you fix it, I think people are okay with honesty. I think people are okay with, hey, this is what happened. We did this and we realized right away it's a mistake. We're changing it right away. It will cost the taxpayers no money. We caught it quickly, but I'm letting you know right now that we're making this adjustment. I don't have a problem with that. I hope no one else does either. But if we're not going to be transparent about this anymore, what's the point? We got to teach that.
I agree with everything that's been, said so far. Great questions, great space. I appreciate everyone that has joined and have added their 2 cents. I'll get back with Brad and John in the near future, and we'll do another one of these spaces in the near future. Next couple of weeks, I'm extremely busy. We're moving probably by the end of the month. We're closing on a camper next week. I'm just going to be extremely busy, but we will definitely get back together, and I'll try to add some more people on. Maybe a couple candidates from District 15 in Minnesota for the state Senate race, and we can just have a really honest conversation. I like the fact that we can all sit here and talk about, we don't hate Democrats, we don't hate Republicans. We just see that there's something broken in our system that we want to fix, and that's what we're all here to do is try to fix that broken system. Can it be fixed? I don't know that answer. All I know is that we're going to try. John and Lee, we've been working at it for over a decade, and having Brad on here was a blessing too, because Brad's a very busy man and he's got a lot of things going on, but I do know we have to end this. I have to end it. We've been on here for almost 2.5 hours. Yeah. Thanks, Brad. Yep. Thank you so much for joining.
Bye-bye now.
Yep. And everybody else, thank you for joining our space and listening. Next time, please, if you have questions or anything, feel free to get up here and be a speaker. We'll let you be a speaker and, ask the questions you need to ask. And tomorrow, thank you for, being a part of that. And America First Lady of Minnesota, I know me and her follow each other, and great person too. But thank you, John and Lee and everybody else for joining. And I look forward to the next time we get to have one of these spaces and we get a little bit of time to go through this and decipher people's thoughts and have a conversation. With that being said, again, thank you all for joining, and I'm looking forward to the next time. Catch you all later.